I'm going to throw it over to you first. Tryouts. Your kid going into tryouts. You ask a one Jehu Jeffrey Lavecchio if there's one piece of advice you had for me as I go in to try and make this team.
I would say think about what makes you your best. What are you the best at? And like showcase that and have fun at tryouts. Don't be nervous. Go out there, play as hard as you can, be a good teammate, and just showcase what you can do at those lower levels. At the higher levels, when it's a little bit more serious, I would say, like, if you really wanted to get dialed, write down 4 to 5 things that make you the best player you can be. So, like, when you are playing your best, what are 4 to 5 things that you do? Like, for me, and this is something I did every single game, from, I don't know if it was juniors on or college on. I think it was probably juniors on. I had like 4 to 5 things, and it would change game to game. It would change season to season, depending on what I was doing, where I was playing, what my role was in that specific game. And so for me, it was almost always, the first one was always move your feet, because I was only good because I was fast and I was relentless at like chasing down the puck and forechecking and back checking. So if I didn't do that, I was literally useless on the ice. So number one for me was always move your feet. Juniors and above, stick pressure and then body, not just try to hit a guy with your stick in the air. Always stick on puck, body, shoot everything, go to the net and stop. And when I had a fifth one, it was like always be vocal, like on the ice, on the bench, keeping guys up, talking to guys on the ice. So like, I think that it helps to just remind yourself, because sometimes in tryouts, guys start looking around, or they think, oh, I got to score points to make the team. Teams are teams. It's not one guy. They're not picking just the Connor McDavid. They're picking the Connor McDavid all the way through the 12th forward. They're picking the first D pair all the way through the 6th D. They're picking a starting goalie. They're picking a backup goalie. So there's all different roles to be had. So write down the 4 to 5 things that you do consistently when you're playing your best, and then just make sure you hit those throughout tryouts, as well as working your hardest and having fun.
I like that. I am going to throw a movie line out for you for mine, which is very similar to what you just said. Are you ready? It's also a song.
Oh, wow. Double whammy.
Be yourself. Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Just Friends.
Just Friends.
Completely underrated movie.
I literally watched that 2 weeks ago. I swear.
No way, really?
Yeah, Cousin Connection. What's up?
So I think this echoes what you're saying, but you got to be you. I actually had a kid that I coached in Chicago last year in midgets reach out to me literally yesterday because he's going to be going to some camps. And he was like, hey, do you have some advice for me on, how to stand out at these camps and stuff? And I said, yeah, man, just be yourself. Like, don't try to be a different player. And play to your strengths. Like, this is a kid who's competitive, and this is a kid, like, he's not going to be running your power play, but he can be a shutdown defender and defend well with his feet and good gaps. He can skate pretty well. Like, he has a lot to offer. If he goes out there and tries to toe drag everybody, it's not going to look great. But if he goes out there and is hard and is just the best version of himself, then he's going to put himself in a position to make one of those teams. And so, yeah, I think you just play to your strengths. Like, if you're a goal scorer, get into spots where you can score goals, get to the net. If you're a playmaker, make passes and do your thing. If you're not blessed with skill, then, you got to be somebody that's hard in on the forecheck, hard on the back check, physical, all that good stuff, right? So I just think you just got to be yourself. And then the second thing, like, if you want to stand out in a tryout, is you have to be the most competitive person out there. There are a few things that stand out in a tryout. Number one is skill. So if you're making plays and you have hockey sense and all that kind of stuff, a lot of that is God-given. But the thing that is not God-given is competitive, like compete. That's a choice. It is a choice to compete. And if you're one of the most competitive people out there, you are going to stand out. And so I would say be yourself and be the most competitive person on the ice. How's that sound?
That. I love that. Absolutely love that. And if you're a kid who's like, you really care and you want to do everything you can, go first in every drill, as long as you know the drill. Don't be a drill kill because that would not look great in tryouts. But like, go first every drill. Like, I look at that stuff when I'm coaching. I look at that stuff. Who wants to be first every drill? It just shows me leadership qualities. It shows me that you're paying attention, you're listening, you know the drill. Like, you want to be there. Now it's not the end of the world if you're a guy who it takes you longer to get drills. If that's you, that's okay. Don't go at the front and be a drill kill. But like, if I'm running a tryout and I see that a guy is like battling to go first in every drill, I'm like, I'm going to give that guy an extra look. And this is a big one because at tryouts, everybody doesn't know everybody. If you're a guy who's very vocal on the ice, you stand out in tryouts because guys are usually a little bit quieter because they're not as comfortable with everybody. So if you're a guy out there who's talking on the ice, on the bench, talking to your teammates because you don't know each other and you're trying to form those quick bonds so that you have a little chemistry out on the ice, again, to me, that's a little detail where it makes me look at a player an extra second,
I do. I think that's great advice. Yeah,
Thank you.
talking just makes the games, and especially you talk about like nobody knows anybody. Like if you're talking, you're gonna help your teammate out, which is gonna help you out. If you're a defenseman going back for a retrieval, hey, reverse, reverse, reverse. Now you get the puck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's used to playing with other people throughout the year, and if it's a tryout, now you got different people from different teams all in one. There's going to be a lot of differences on how that person played the game, and so talking is the thing that can get you on the same page, which can make you look better.
Yeah. And other little details that like I used to do in tryouts, like all the way up, like change hard. Like think because like again, you're trying to catch a coach's eyes, you're trying to show what you can do, you're trying to prove who you are as a person as well. And how many players just like loaf it to the bench? So like you will stand out if every time you change, you sprint to the bench. You literally stand out 100%. I had coaches tell me this during my career. So it's like these little things where it's not, that doesn't mean you make the team, but if it comes down to you and another player and it's go in the room, the coaching room, and there's 10 coaches and they're going around the room between player A and you, who are we going to take? Well, if you're the guy who's out there talking the whole time and they heard you doing that and you're doing it on the bench and you're changing hard and you're going first in every drill, like that could be the tipping point that they take you. Right. And so if you're somebody who wants to do anything you possibly could, those are some simple things along with back checking your ass off because not every player does that, and forechecking your ass off. So these things, if you guys are listening, none of them take skill. None of them. They just take willpower, being willing to do it, being willing to put yourself out there. If you do those little things, you will stand out for those. You got to play well. You got to show what you can do, but that could be, a tiebreaker.
Can we do a little sidebar really quick?
Sidebar, baby.
Can we talk about line changes real quick?
Let's talk about them, baby.
For all the kids that are listening, you need to get into your head right now how much coaches at the higher levels talk about line changes and how important they are to winning hockey games. And I'm not even just talking about like shift length, because I feel like when people talk about line changes a lot at the lower levels, it's all like, hey, you need to take short shifts, which you do. 30 to 40 seconds max NHL, like that, those are shifts. 45, 50 maybe at the higher end. Maybe if you're a defenseman, a little bit longer than that, but like most is 35, 40 seconds and you're off, right? But like I've heard Stanley Cup winning coaches listening to like just a lot of different high level people. And one of the biggest things they talk about is out changing the other team. If you change better than the other team, you're putting yourself in a position to win hockey games. And I just feel like, when do you ever talk about that and you talk, but it's like such a big deal at the higher levels, And I don't even know if we've ever talked about that in the 250 episodes that we have. It's been a while.
This is like the stuff that I loved thinking about when I was playing, especially as I got older. How can you play these little games within the games? When I was in the AHL playing in Rochester for Chuck Weber, man, if you dumped the puck on the wrong side of the ice at to let that would like mess up the change. Like he wanted you dumping the puck so that it would rim around the boards to come to the bench side always, so that it was way harder for the other team to make a stretch pass as you were changing. They're never going to stretch pass it on the side of the benches. So like you had to, if you were dumping and changing, you had to put it in certain spots, or else, it was like a big deal. And when I was playing, I got it, but until like I saw it happen over and over again, and like where the puck would end up when it was a good change versus where the puck would end up when it was a bad change. And I was like, holy crap, there's another game within the game where if you outthink your opponent, you're giving yourself that extra, couple percentage points chance of winning the game. And like now the game, guys are always like trying to find those little offensive, you know, cheats or hacks or whatever that work. And that's another positive to that outcome too.
Yeah, it is it's such a game within the game, line changes. And yeah, I think just even like hustling to the bench,
Yeah.
just such a small thing that can be done at the younger ages is such a great habit to have, because then like hockey's a game of inches, right? And so if you hustle your ass off to the bench and somebody gets out a second more or 2 seconds earlier than they would have, and then maybe that person makes a play that whether it's a defensive play or an offensive play, or they get to a spot a little bit quicker for support that helps you get inside the zone, it just, those little things add up. And line change is a big piece of that. So when you talked about that, doing it in tryouts, like I've been talking about line changes a lot lately, and it just, like, for all the kids out there, like, it's a big deal. It's a really
Yeah,
big deal when you get to the older ages. Really
it
big deal.
is.
Not just your shift length, which is really, really, really important. You know how, like, coaches in college or pros say, like, nothing good happens after midnight. And you're like out with the boys or out with the girls. Like in hockey, like, nothing good happens after 35 seconds.
Yeah, it's so true. Do you have any other little tips that like you ever did, or I mean, you've watched so much hockey as somebody evaluating. What stuck out to you in your mind? Like of like just you're watching the game, like not like you're honing in on a player, like you're watching the tryout the game as it's going on. Is there anything that consistently would stick out to
Yeah,
you
man,
as like,
competitiveness.
yeah,
It's
okay, yeah,
competitiveness. Like, if you compete, you're going to set yourself apart from other people. Like, if you're going into battles and coming out with the puck more than you're not, that's noticeable. When you're competing to get back on the back check, that's noticeable. When you're
mm,
competing to get to the net, that's noticeable.
mm,
And you're going to notice the people who shine with the skill and make the plays and all that kind of stuff. Not everybody can be that person.
mm.
Most people aren't that person, right? You set yourself apart by your competitiveness.
Love that.
I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And
Love
and
that.
and it still might not take you, but
But
I'm
it's
gonna
the
have a hell
goal
of a
is
lot
to,
more respect for you, and I'll go
yeah.
to bat for you, maybe with a lower team or something. Like think about junior hockey, right? So you go to USHL tryout, probably not going to make the team. Teams picked for the most part, but there's other scouts that are going to be there that can notice you too. And that is one thing that can really help you to stand out.
And I love that you said that too. Parents, players, coaches, anybody who's listening to us, coaches talk to each other,
Yeah,
all
man.
of them, especially at the higher levels. I'd say midget minor and above for sure, midget major and above. Everybody is talking to each other. And so if you didn't make it, that another coach loses a player to a junior program in the neighboring town for midgets, he might call that head coach and be like, hey, I saw you had so and so as one of the last cuts. Like, what do you think about him? Is he a good kid? Did you talk to the parents? How did he play? Does he do this? Does he do that? Like, all coaches talk. And at the junior level, it definitely happens. There's other junior teams scouting other junior teams tryouts. So all the coaches talk. So constantly putting out your best effort, your best product, everything on the ice in tryouts is only going to help you in other ways too.
100%. Okay, so we talked about how you can stand out in a tryout. We also talked about I guess this was one thing that we were going to talk about, but we already kind of did, was like the evaluation process and what coaches are looking for. And yeah, the biggest thing is be yourself, make plays and compete. Be yourself, make plays and compete. Like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Go out there, do your thing, be hard. And then just enjoy yourself. Like, the last thing you want to do is grip your stick too tight as you're going through some of these evaluations and through some of these tryouts and stuff. So just have confidence in your abilities. Understand that like who you are is who you are, and be the best version of that, and just do it to the best of your ability, and do it hard. Just do it hard. I think that's the only thing you can do, and that's the only thing that stands out that coaches are typically looking for in a tryout. Make plays, compete, be yourself.
Do it hard, as
Be
Toph said.
yourself.
And guys
And girls.
and girls, let's say you don't make the team. It's not the end of the world. Okay. The first thing you should do when you don't make the team is ask for feedback. Not, and everything is in your delivery, by the way. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Believe me, my mom said that to me about 1,000 times. That, and
That's bringing me back to my childhood.
I'm not mad at you. I'm just disappointed. You get hit with, it's not what you say, it's how you said it, or that one you just feel guilty, you feel bad. It's a bad
Can you
day.
do that Aunt Call imitation again?
I don't even. It's not what you said, Jeffrey. It's how you said it.
I'm just disappointed.
I'm just disappointed in you. And then she'd probably be laughing, knowing that like I was like, she's like, I got him. I got him. So if you do get cut, you don't make the team that you tried out for. Okay. It's not, the world's not over. The world's not over. Two best things that happened to me in my entire hockey career. One, getting cut from STL Elite when I was a kid, and two, tearing my groin adductor off the bone. Two terrible things in the moment as they were happening. They stung. They both sucked. They both made me do things that I maybe wouldn't have done. They turned my mindset into something that it probably wouldn't have become without these so-called dark times. It's always darkest before the dawn, and that's a real saying. So remind yourself that. Go to the coaches and ask, hey, thank you for letting me try out. I just want to know for this season, what are some things that you saw that I could work on? And hopefully you'll get some feedback that will allow you to focus on some things that are going to make you better. Now you just turned, a seemingly bad thing into a good thing. And like I said, and like Toph says on this podcast all the time, it's not a setback. It could be a setup. You just have to look at it that way, and you have to take the bad with the good. You've got to take the points that they said you need to work on. You got to be the hardest worker if it's something you want to make the next year.
Amen, man. I mean, two of the, let's call them best thing that ever happened to me was getting cut too.
Really?
I got cut in Pee Wee AAA.
Did you?
Yeah, I got cut from Pee Wee AAA and ended up playing for Stan because of it. Every other team was picked. And so I had,
was that Glenview?
No, this was TI.
Okay.
Way back in the day. And so I got cut from one team. Every other team was kind of full. There was one team, and he ended up being this Russian coach that ended up being one of the best coaches I ever had.
Wow.
And had I made the other team, then I wouldn't have, played for him. And the funny thing is the team that I got cut from asked me halfway through the year to play on their team for the rest of the year. And I said, no, thanks. I said, no, I'm good.
No. Let me say
I was developing so much. You're the man. I love it. But seriously, like, so I was like, what, 11, 12 years old, and getting cut at that age and, playing college hockey, professional, like, got cut at 12. Yeah, like the dream's not over if you get cut at 12.
You were already nasty at 12. Did you have a bad tryout or what?
I am bad tryout, maybe some
like
politics.
You're short?
Like I was short. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But either way, one of the best things, and the other one of the best things that happened to me, and I think I've told this story on the podcast before, but you were around. So we went to St. Cloud, Minnesota for the USA Hockey Festivals. It was Select 16. It was to go to the Five Nations tournament. So you go to these festivals and they pick whatever 20 players to go overseas to play. One of my biggest dreams was to wear the USA jersey. That was like one of my biggest dreams. Like obviously you want to play in the NHL, but proud to be an American and wanted to put that jersey on so badly. So badly. So we go to select 16s. Um, we play in the it was pre now everybody plays like with each other. Like it used to be districts would play against each other. So we were central, it was like Illinois, Wisconsin, St. Louis, and we'd play against Michigan, New York, Minnesota, Massachusetts, all the different districts around the US, right? And so that year we came in second. We lost to Michigan in the championship game. And after the game, we go into the locker room, and there were like 5 or 6 guys on our team that had these envelopes in their stalls, and they were the better players, and it was like an envelope to sign a contract to go on this team to go play overseas. And I didn't have an envelope. I was like one of I think I was fourth or fifth leading scorer in camp,
Dude, you were
whatever it was.
gross in that camp too at
So
16.
I'm like, man, so I'm thinking coming on, I'm like, I think I'm gonna make the team. Like I'm gonna be able to play for the US. Like this is a dream come true, and get in there, 5 or 6 guys, 4 or 5 guys, whatever it was, they had these envelopes, and I didn't have an envelope. And I'm like, no way. I'm like, this can't, like, no way. This can't be happening. Can't be happening. And but sure enough, I'm like taking all my stuff off, and these guys are going, taking their envelopes, and then, they open it and they see that they made the team, yada yada. So everybody's happy for them. Obviously, I was happy for them too. But I'm like, what the hell? Like, why don't I have an envelope? And so then one of the coaches comes into the locker room and asks for me. It's like, hey, can I talk to Topher? So I go out and into the hallway and talk to him. I actually end up going into the room where everybody's like signing the contracts to go overseas and stuff. And he goes, hey, just want to let you know, thought you had a great camp. You deserve to be on this team. Wanted to let you know that. Also want to let you know we're looking for size in this tournament. We think we can win with size. And because of that, you're not making the team. You're going to be an alternate. So if anybody gets hurt, you're going to be one of the first people that we're going to call to come over. So my dream, play for Team USA in an international tournament. I'm told by the coach that I am too small to make the team. To my face. Now, years later, 37 years old right now, I can appreciate that he was trying to be nice and trying to give me a compliment. At the time, I wanted to punch him in the face. I'm not kidding, dude. Like,
yeah, I remember. I was there. I remember.
But do you know how much that motivated me? Like,
yeah.
I wanted to stick it to that coaching staff so bad. And also I knew it doesn't matter. Like I have to be that much better. I'm the 4th leading scorer in this camp.
Yeah.
And I still am not making the team.
Made the
because I'm too
game.
small.
Made the championship game. We lost, but silver medal.
And it's still not good enough. Because of my size, something that I have no effing control over. I have to be that much better. So that motivated me that much more hey, this is a reality. This is a reality. This is my reality for the rest of my life. I just have to be that much better. So I have to work that much harder. And so that's like, was a defining.
He did, fans.
It was a defining moment for me. And it could have been a freaking time where I was like, poor me. And like, this isn't fair and shit. But like, luckily I have great parents and great support system like you. And like, no, like don't pout, do something about it. Like go back in the gym, go get on the ice, like just get better. Like that's what you have to do. And it all ended up working out. I didn't play in the NHL, but like it ended up working
Great
out.
career. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
So yeah, I still remember. God, it's still, as you could probably tell from the inflection of my voice throughout that story, still stings a little bit, man.
Everyone on the team was like, "How the hell did Tove not get picked?" Like, obviously we knew it was the only reason it could have been, but yeah. And then we did go win the gold medal the next year, though. Not a big deal.
Yes, sir. And then you made the team that year.
I did make the team the next year.
The Hlinka. The Hlinka team.
Played against what's his face? Ovechkin. I don't know. You ever heard of him? Yeah.
he doesn't need to try out for teams.
He literally scored like 8 goals against us.
Was he your responsibility? Were you the defensive forward? That was
dude, haven't I told this story on this podcast? So
I don't think so.
I did not play well in that tournament, which really sucks because it's such a big deal. But we didn't know this before the game, and I actually met Ovechkin before the game, like the day before. And dude, There's no way that guy wasn't juicing back then. There's no I swear. Like his thighs were the size of like our coaches' waists, who were like 40-year-old men that weren't in shape. So like, and he was already balding, and he was 17. Like this guy looked like he was 45 years old at 17. I was like, come on, this guy. What are you guys feeding this fucking animal? Um, but before the game, I guess he had a bet with his coaches because we weren't the
Oh,
NTDP.
I have heard this
We were,
story.
yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah,
like
yeah.
the team that got picked from the
Yeah.
districts, and so we're like the second tier guys, and or third, whatever. And so I guess he had a bet with his coach before the game. He'd scored 10 goals, I think it was, and they were or 9 goals, and I think it was 8-1 or 8-0, and they had a face off in our D zone with like 7 seconds left, and they pulled the goalie to put Ovechkin in the cocked back to try and so he could try and hit his bet with the coaches. And guess who blocked his shot?
Oh yeah.
This guy. He ate it. And I was a skill guy back then. I wasn't a shot blocker. I ate it. And that is my claim to fame,
So they
unfortunately.
put you out there to block a shot with 7 seconds left, huh?
Yep. Yep. That's how it went. Yeah. But hey, I did it. All right. I did it.
Oh,
I did it.
all
Yeah.
right. Moral of this story, guys. Like, you're gonna get cut. It's gonna happen. And you're sitting here with two guys that had pretty good careers, not amazing careers, but had pretty freaking good careers
Better
based
than
on
most people who play the game of hockey. Yeah.
who's saying that defining moments of their career in a positive light is getting cut.
Yeah.
So if you're
And
not
it's
feeling the love, if you're, you get cut from a team, like do not pout. Like use it as a motivation. Like look in the mirror. You need to get better. Maybe you deserve to make the team. Maybe there's politics involved if you're in youth hockey or higher levels of like you got to take ownership. You have to take ownership. It's one of the most important characteristics that you can have as a human being if you want to be successful, happy, fulfilled, all that kind of stuff is just extreme accountability and ownership with what you do. And so yeah, whether you make it,
guess
whether
what,
you don't.
guys?
And the other side, hold on one sec. The other thing too is for the kids that make the team, your job's not done.
Nope.
Your job is not done. How many people make teams because these stupid tryouts are in the springtime, and then they like don't like do anything until the season, and then they end up on the fourth line because they're out of shape. You
Fart
know.
knockers. That's what I call them. Fart knockers. Like, stop doing that. The season hasn't even started yet. You haven't done
Now, let me
no
preface this:
work.
it's saying that you should be playing other sports and you shouldn't be on
Yes.
the ice a million hours a day in the summer and stuff like that. So please don't take that the wrong way. But like once you make the team, like your job is not over. Like you got to compete for a role on the team. You got to compete for ice time. Like there, like I've seen it. People make it, and then it's just that's my ceiling. There we go, and then they just
Yeah.
don't get better, and then
Yeah.
they end up
That,
miserable.
that ain't right. And to go back to Toph talking about like you're gonna get cut sometime. Like, guess what, guys? Parents and players, you're gonna have some shit happen to you in your life. You're gonna eat some shit sandwiches. You're gonna have losses. You're gonna have a bad business deal. You're gonna make mistakes in the real world once you're done with amateur hockey, once you're done with college. And the more that you learn to battle back from a perceived failure or being cut or anything like that when you're younger, the easier it will be to build that resiliency muscle to flex that for the rest of your life. Ooh, I should write that down somewhere. Parents,
Hey,
it's
hey,
your
Jeff,
job.
it's a podcast. You can like it'll be there. Don't worry.
Parents, if your child gets cut, you're not changing any coach's mind, right? You're not doing anything good by complaining about it. And you're only hurting your child and the way that they look at the world in the future and hockey and all these things by telling them you should have made the team. You're better than
Preach.
this kid. You're better than this kid. Take a step back. Go from the 10-foot view to the 10,000-foot view. What does your player need at this moment? Yes, you need to console them and reconcile them, all that type of stuff, right? But after that, it's your job to help them learn how to get over this. And okay, ask the coach, why did I get cut? What can I work on? And teach them that nothing is an actual end game. It's just a setback. And instead of thinking of it as a setback, tell them to think of it as a setup for something greater, because now they're going to learn all these things. Learn, adapt, apply. Learn, adapt, apply. And it's so massively important. And what Toph and I have seen happen more and more and more and more in youth hockey is parents jump on the blame game to their kid, which then that toxifies that kid's mindset. Literally, I've seen those kids grow up from little kids through the years, and I have never seen one who has a toxic parent like that, where the kid ever reaches anywhere near their potential because they become excuse makers. And it's honestly, I hate to say it, has started from the parents. So it's just something for the parents out there to like think about as the trial process happens.
One of the greatest lessons you can teach anybody to be a high achiever is to control what you can control,
Oh,
you know? And
yeah.
man, you hit the nail on the head. I want to times that by infinity, the excuse thing, because it's just, I don't know if it's just like easier to make excuses and to
Of
blame
course
other
it's
people,
easier.
you know, and it's just such a bad precedent to set. And we talked about in this podcast we just did, like the car ride home, like you're killing your kids if you're making excuses for them.
Right.
You know, like in reality, in life, is everything in your control? No, absolutely not. There's going to be things that happen to you unforeseen that suck or are great. It could be either
Or
way
aren't fair. It's not
or
fair.
aren't fair. A
It's not
hundred
fair.
percent that aren't fair. But at the end of the day, like what's more important? I do this in my team building all the time. What's more important, the things that happen to you or the way that you choose to perceive the things that happen to you? Your
100%.
attitude after the goods and after the bads, after the ups, after the downs is so unbelievably important. And it's directly reflected in what we're talking about right here in tryouts. Yeah, I made the team. Okay, now what? Or, hey, I didn't make the team. Okay, now what? What's in my control? I still control my attitude. I still control my work ethic. And those are the things that are gonna, if you get cut, gonna help you make that team the next year. Those are the things that, if you make the team, are going to help you to earn a bigger role on that team that year and continue, because it's all about development and growth. Like if you make Pee Wee AAA, like, ooh, awesome, great. Like in the grand scheme of life, like it's pretty insignificant, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like I always think about how like I looked up to all the players on your team. Like we were the same age. And I was like, these guys are gods. Like these guys are so good. And you won the national championship. And you beat us 7-1 without a goalie for the whole third period in like Pee Wee AAA or Bantam AAA. And it's like, what? Like, that's not even possible. You guys were ungodly good. And it's like, but instead of me like losing that game to you guys, and like, cause you're my cousin and you're the captain of the team, and like, and I look up to you, like, I was always like felt like I was chasing that like your whole team and all the guys on the team, because I got to know them all a little bit. And instead of me getting like down, like, God, these guys are so much better than us in St. Louis. Like, how are they so good? And like pouting about it. Like, I use that as motivation. Like, oh, I see Cosmanos jacked and like I should work out because like he's got muscles. That's why he's so good right now. And, this guy does this and this guy does this. And, a couple of years later, like I'm starting to play at that same level as those guys or passing some of those guys, and it's like, but at this age, these tryout ages and stuff like that, they were a million miles ahead of me, is what it felt like.
For sure.
And so it's all what you do with it. It's all like Toph used it to motivate him, like I used it to motivate me. Toph goes on 3 years later, starts his journey of scoring 100 points in college hockey in the Ivy Leagues at 5'4". Like that's crazy. That's crazy. But if you don't get cut, does that happen? I mean, you'll never know, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge motivating factor for me, no
Yeah.
question. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, moral of this story, like control what you can control. Let the tougher times motivate you to get better. Don't pour me it. Please don't pour me it.
I love that. If
And
I
don't
if
make
I
excuses.
you
Oh,
know what? we did the episode maybe a month ago now. Like, what we go back to your younger self. What would you tell them?
Yeah. It was like
Control
the
what you.
AMA, right? Like the
Yeah,
Ask Me
yeah.
Anything. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I said that I should have told myself to control what you can control and not worry about anything else. But if I could have mastered that way earlier in my career than I did, it would have helped me immensely. And I'm guessing you too.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
Absolutely.
that was very hard for me at the younger ages for sure. I can't imagine how hard it is for these kids now with
Oh,
TikTok,
dude.
Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter. I literally like the
Rankings
comparative,
websites.
right? Like all the time, it's got to be tough.
And I have one more. And this could be for the positive, but usually it's the other way.
Oh yeah, yeah. We should do negatives because I can think of a couple.
Body language.
Oh, that was my first one.
Body
Can
language
you can you
assist.
define that
Producer
for the
assist.
listeners?
Uh if you make a mistake and you slam your stick on the boards,
Mm.
you don't get a pass from somebody that you should have gotten a pass to, and you like, throw your head to the sky and you put your
Ah,
shoulders back. You're like, oh my God.
ah, ah. One of those. Mm.
Just like you lose a battle and like you just, what I mean.
I know what you mean, but I mean for the
That's
listeners, you get
true.
you get tripped and you're looking around at the ref like, why didn't I get a call? No, dude, play the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. That stuff sticks out like a sore thumb. And I
Real
can
sore.
tell you from like scouting to go to college, like that is a red flag.
Red
That is
flag.
a big, big, big red flag. Now, like, yeah, like sometimes you get pissed off if you lose a battle or stuff. Like, there's a difference between that and like, throwing a teammate under the bus with
Mm.
a shoulder roll, or
Yeah.
a head nod or something like that.
Yep.
Those I don't want people like that on my team. I just
Yep.
don't. Like I don't want
Yep.
people like that on my team.
All right, I'll give you another one. Crazy parents, too involved. Coming up to older levels, especially like coming up to coach, like and talking at tryouts and like not in a respectful way, like the crazy way. And for anybody out there listening, like, what does he mean? Like, you know what I mean? Okay, you've seen those people. Don't be one of those people. It's just not going to help your kid.
That's very true. And again, like not a tryout thing, but a scouting thing. Like I've crossed people off my list because of how their parents have acted in the stands.
Mm,
Like
mm,
just the apple guys, like the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Rarely ever does.
caught,
And
not taught.
yeah, and so um who you are as a parent and how you act can very much um have an effect on whether or not a coach wants to take your kid or not.
Yeah.
At the youngest levels, all the way up. All the
Yeah.
way up, man. All the way up.
Parents, rewind the last 45 seconds and then play it one more time, maybe two, because I know this is hard. I know you spend a lot of money. I know it's because you just want to help little Johnny or little Sally or little whoever it is. Don't be the crazy parent. All right. It's not helping you or anyone. Sally's not getting more ice. Johnny is benched when you just constantly talk about ice time. It won't help.
What about hoo hoo?
I was thinking Cindy Lou Who. I don't know.
Who's
Who's Cindy Lou Who? What? Hello, the Grinch?
Oh, got it.
Cindy Lou Who? Come on, bro.
Actually, my girls love the Grinch.
Yeah.
Actually, they love
Get
that
with the
movie.
times. God.
So,
Any others?
I'm
Any other
sorry.
negatives that stand out to you?
It's just like laziness.
Yeah.
Laziness stands out. Body language stands out. And what I will say too for the kids that are out there, like a lot of times, like the coaches are in the stands watching and evaluating because you can kind of see everything, but there are coaches on the benches too. And those coaches who are on the benches report to the head coach that's in the stands that's watching on how you're treating your teammates and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, like how you're talking to people. So it's very much it's a full eval. It's a full eval. And what I will say too, just as it relates to that, and it kind of goes to like the parent thing too, and going up and talking to the coach, like just be yourself. you know, like we're sitting here talking, you know, like you should talk on the bench and things like that. But if you're like a person that's like overly doing it and it's fake, that also kind of stands out. Like, or if you're like a parent that like goes up to the coach all buddy buddy beforehand and, you know, this and that, it's like, all right, you're trying too hard, man.
I had a
Like,
parent one time call me a week before tryouts, and the coaches of the team called it. They're like, "Hey, just so you know, you're probably going to get a call from this parent a week before tryouts because they think their kid's not going to make it." Sure enough, I did, and like then never heard from them again.
oh, really?
They were just like trying to make it sound like he was doing everything he could to make the team.
Yeah, yeah, like almost guilt you into
Crazy.
it.
Yeah, yeah, crazy, crazy. And like, oh, he's so dedicated. And
And
it
he
was the
loves
parent.
you.
And it was the
You're such a
parent.
mentor.
I've never even heard of this kid before. And the coaches just called it and said, hey, this is going to happen. And I was like, wow, like they already knew it was like fake, you know, and the kid didn't make it.
Shocker.
Yeah, weird.
Shocker, shocker, shocker. Hey, I think this was awesome. It's been a minute and it is getting to be tryout time for a lot of people out there. So we wanted to talk about it and maybe there's something that a kid that's going into tryouts can take that will help them to be able to make a team. If that happens, man, that's awesome. That's really, really cool. Maybe there's something in here that for a parent that you can help your kids with as they go through the process of tryouts and trying to make teams and stuff like that. Hey, like at the end of the day, uh, one tryout doesn't define you. It
No,
doesn't define you. It didn't define me. It didn't define Vex. It didn't define a whole heck of a lot of hockey players that are doing some amazing things in the sport right now. And so enjoy it. Be yourself. Do your thing. Compete your butt off. And good luck, I guess. Good luck in tryouts.